Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Colby, but you can call me Sailor Cheese. I'm really excited today because I have a very exciting renovation in The Sims 4 with a bit of a dark twist. Due to the darker nature of some of these topics that I'm going to be discussing, I wanted to go ahead and give you a bit of disclaimer. The video discusses themes related to crime and the life of John Wayne Gacy, who, if you don't know, is a notorious figure in American crime history. While I aim to keep the content respectful, it may still be unsettling for some viewers. I ask that you please take care of yourself while watching, and feel free to skip this video if you feel like it might be too much. Thank you for understanding. With that said, let's jump in. I ended up choosing one of the starter homes in Willow Creek to renovate for this little project of mine. I had initially tried to use the entirety of the exterior, but ended up editing some aspects of it. So we're jumping in with what I had already changed, and this is what we've got so far. So I definitely did not want to approach this build with a recreation of this horrible man or the house of horrors he lived in. I simply was inspired by his whole wolf in sheep's clothing life that he lived. If you're not familiar with John Wayne Gacy, he was a husband and a father who was an active member of his community. He was a community leader. He was active in local politics. He even hosted and participated in neighborhood parties. One of the ways that he participated within his community was by dressing up as a clown and performing at children's parties under the name Pogo the Clown. What makes that especially unsettling was how young some of his victims ended up being. He was ultimately responsible for the murders of 33 young men and boys. So one of the major things you'll see me working on first in this house is the basement. Now, I wanted to make the basement a pivotal part of this character as a kind of serial killer sim. If you're not familiar with John Wayne Gacy, a basement was a very pivotal part of him and his crimes and his case. Basement was a significant part of Gacy's home. He used it for a lot of his darker activities. It represented his hidden secrets, a place where no one else could see what truly was happening behind closed doors. And I wanted to emanate that with the basement that we designed. So my plan was to I want to design a basement where everyone in the family could use it, but there is a secret hideaway to our killer Sim's private little murder den, I guess? Private little hideaway, just like John Wayne Gacy. I'm talking a lot about the basement as I am actively in the video renovating the exterior of the house. But believe it or not, the exterior of the house was actually a very important aspect of John Wayne Gacy's house. He made it a point to have a facade of normalcy. He was also an avid gardener and had a very pristine garden, very nice. And so I wanted to make sure that the outside of this house was as normal as humanly possible. I wanted to make sure that it was very, very basic, a little outdoor space for his son to play, nice little seating area and porch, basic colors, basic roof, just really wanted to keep everything normal, Once I was at a place where I was happy with the exterior of the house, I finally was able to go into the interior and work on that. So naturally, I did not know what Gacy's actual basement looked like or how he used it to operate, but I figured I would take my own approach to it, which involved having a common study or office for the whole family to share, and using one of the secret bookcase doors to lead into his little den, if you will. At first, I wanted to make it a single room where he would operate out of, but after discussing with my friends and everything, we thought it might be a good idea to have a little extra room for where he keeps his victims. You know, like a little soundproof room or something like that, before he's ready to, you know. So for our little basement den, I really wanted to make the room feel like an unfinished extension to the basement or to the house, or like an extension that maybe the rest of the family doesn't know about because the rest of the family doesn't know about it, right? So I wanted a dirt floor, a lot of cracks in the floor, scratches in the floor. And the scratches in the floor is actually what ends up leading to the addition of this extra room. And I ended up taking it a step further and thought, well, if he's going to keep his victims, he's probably going to want to keep an eye on them too. So I ended up adding the big glass door, big glass windows, gave him a little seating area so he can watch his victims. So yeah. Now we don't know exactly what Gacy did with his victims, and frankly I don't think anyone really wants to know the full details of it. Except the only person who really knows is him and his victims, right? But some of the things that we do know that he did with them was that he used his clown act and his love of magic, and his charming personality, to kind of make his victims feel at ease. He would do a trick with handcuffs, which I definitely recommend reading more up. I don't want to dive too much into the details of all that. So once I was done with the basement, it was time to move on to the study, and I really wanted to make sure that I emanated this sense of togetherness, where the whole family could come use this space while simultaneously not suspecting a thing, doing your homework all quietly. Meanwhile, Dad's got someone locked in the basement. When designing this room and the rest of the rooms in the rest of the house, I really wanted to kind of stick to these cool tones, these very calm tones, if you will. When designing the rest of the house, including this study, I wanted to keep it to really cool tones, really mellow, really normal, One of the things that Gacy did very, very well was keep up this whole idea or facade of normalcy, and it wasn't until his very, very last victim, when he was finally caught, he finally stopped. But the whole time he was acting normal. He was, a pillar of his community and doing terrible, terrible things to innocent men and boys, many of whom he even hired to work in his construction company. It's quite chilling to think about how well Gacy blended into society. He was known for his generous spirit and helped those in need. One of the things he would often do was hire young men in need of a job and would hire them to work in his construction company. And once they trusted him and, the walls were down, he would take advantage of those poor men, and they would ultimately meet their fate to his cruelness, which seemed to no bounds. I know I said I didn't want to spend too much time talking about Gacy, and I have spent a lot of this time talking about him. So instead, I want to kind of step away from the discussion of the monster and talk about the men that he victimized, and more so just I don't want to get into details of each particular case, because I think the details of these cases are fairly graphic. But unfortunately, only 28 of the 33 known victims have been identified, and so I wanted to go ahead and read off their names. Timothy Jack McCoy, John Budkovich, Daryl Julius Sampson, Randall Wayne Reffett, Samuel G. Dodd Stapleton, Michael Lawrence Bonin, William Huey Carroll Jr., James Byron Hockesson, Rick Lewis Johnston, Kenneth Ray Parker, Michael M. Marino, William George Bundy, Francis Wayne Alexander, Gregory John Godzik, John Allen Sick, John Stephen Prestige, Matthew Walter Bowman, Robert Edward Gilroy Jr., John Anthony Mowry, Russell Lloyd Nelson, Robert David Winch, Tommy Joe Booling, David Paul Talsma, William Wayne Kindred, Timothy David O'Rourke, Frank William Landingen, James Mazzara, Robert Jerome Peast. Now, as I was saying before, these are the only victims that we have identified. There are still 5 victims who remain unidentified, and these are just the victims that we're aware of. With all that's been said, I do want to end this video on a little bit of a lighter note and just take you on a little tour of the finished property of our little serial killer house. So let's go take a look. So let's start our tour from the outside, of course. So we have our adorable little front patio with our public trash can. The porch leads to a little side yard with a little jungle gym for their son. So let's first look at the very top floor, which is the attic. The attic, which has various knickknacks. So of course you've got the usual Christmas decorations, failed art projects, but in the very back corner here we have the various things that he has stolen, such as money and evidence of things. As well as a trunk of secrets. What is he hiding? We do not know, but we can suspect. Go downstairs. So you can see when you walk in, there's the stairs leading downstairs into the basement, and then the ladder heading up to the attic. A nice open kitchen, nice little open kitchen. Then we've got our living room right here. Super cute little living room, and our primary bedroom with our primary lady sleeping. Good night, I let you sleep. So we also have our nice little basic bathroom. The one thing that I think was most important to add in this bathroom was a little vent for all the stinkies to come out. You know, now that I think about it, I have no idea where our son is. Oh! I should. Hold up. Oh. Okay, so here is his son's dinosaur-themed bedroom. Well, he comes in and takes the dinosaur? Oh, he's cleaning up. Okay. Anyways, so downstairs is our basement. So I left the little hallway as like a storage space. The main room is a cute little study with built-in computers and desks, not built-in computers, built-in desks. The star of the show is our little den. Oh, I forget that I can't do the aerial view in live mode. But we've got our broken mirror, our sink to wash our hands and to store tools, his little fire. There we go. So we've got our drains for liquids, our little chair for resting. Here is his little room that he keeps his victims, and a little toilet and bed, so he can keep them for as long as he needs to. Oh, and of course some scratch marks in the floor and a hose to wash everything down. So there you go. There you have it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a great time and I hope you did too. If you liked the video, be sure to like it or leave a comment below. And be sure to subscribe to keep an eye out for any future videos that I have in store. I know I have a good one in store for next time. It's a little different game, so keep your eye out for that. Thanks again for joining and have a wonderful day. Bye.